Hi folks, I'm going to bring you step by step how I created an object, really modified an object that I downloaded from Thingiverse to work for me and my cables because they're different from the standard Mac cables. I guess if you buy all Apple cables, they're all the same dimension. I have a mix of cables here for my MacBook Pro. So if you have any questions or comments or suggestions on how to do it better, please leave a comment below and I'm happy to answer. Hello folks, I just want to show you how I custom modify things on Thingiverse. So find what you like and then download the file and unzip the file and go to the file. Okay, and I'm going to open up this one, but I'm going to open it up in Tinkercad. So organizer without, I want with USB, no symbols. Okay. All right, so I already printed one of these, and the openings weren't big enough for my parts. And all right, so the Mac would go right here. This organizes the cables going into the Mac, so it would look just like that. All right, so let's go back. All right, I took the measurements of what I wanted the things to be, the sizes. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do a Control-D, make a copy of it, just drag it over away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click H for whole. And I am going to take a couple of boxes, one for each port. All right. And then I'm going to drop them down into there. Now, if I click on an object and click F, it zooms in on it. And there's a couple of things going on in here. So I'll tell you what I'm doing with this as I do it. There's some of these have a dimple in the bottom. And all right, so I'm going to shrink this. And I think we're good that way. I'm actually going to shorten it a little. Oh, and I'm going to turn off the lock to grid. And basically it was doing a 1 millimeter increment. And if I bring it up, I'm sure that it's not going through the bottom. So I can see that it's into the original item. And I'm going to get just a slug of the item. But I don't want to get the hull. Okay. So now I'm just going to have the profile of the hull there. I didn't want to get that view hole for the charging status. Okay, so I'm going to roll out a little bit, and I'm going to grab another cube. I'm going to click F. I'm going to drag it down, and so I'm going to drag it just up that way, and I'm going to make it shorter this way, shorter that way. I want to avoid, like I said, any dimples or anything like that. Yep, no dimples there. And I am just going to raise it slightly by grabbing that triangle. And this way I know it's off the ground. All right, and see, that's the dimple I was trying to avoid. All right, I'm going to pull back out. I'm going to grab another cube. I'm going to bring the other cube in. And sorry, I have a Mac mouse, and there's a little bit of roll. All right, so when you saw, all right, right now this lifts it vertically and this shrinks it, or changes the height. All right, so I want to make sure I'm all gray on the edges, on the perimeter. And when the box is selected, all the points are your particular box. So that's what we're looking at right here, and I am going to grab this last one, drag it in, shrink, shrink, shrink it a bit, and bring it in this way. Now you can always extrude them. All right, So I don't know if I dragged this one up, but I'm going to drag that one up. I'm going to drag this one up. All right, so now I'm looking below. There's no cutouts or dimples. Okay, and if I click on the cable holder and click F, it's going to center it. So now I can zoom in. I want to make sure that I'm going to use that as a cutting die, basically. Okay, enroll looks good. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is this is better if you do it like at a right angle because then you know what you're selecting. So I'm selecting everything, and I'm grabbing this, which is the group control, and then all of a sudden I have 4 parts, basically the centers of the piece. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a Control D, which duplicates them, and I have 4 of them, and I'm actually going to make 5. So I have a spare, and I'm just going to roll the spare off into the distance. All right, so I am going to want several holes or cubes that act as a hole. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select, because right now these are all one object. Oh, I'll just show you. See, that's one object. I want to separate them out. That's why I created 4 of them. So if I grab it like this, that's going to select the hole and the plugs from the centers, click group, and I got 1. So I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to do it on the first 2, and I'm going to grab another cube. I just did a Control D. I'm going to zoom in, make sure I'm not grabbing anything else. Looks good. And so now I'm going to select these guys, and you want to make sure nothing else got selected. And I'm going to click group. So now I have the second, whoop. I'm going to do a Control Z because I grabbed him in the wrong place and started distorting him. All right, so now I need 2 more. So I'm going to grab the top 2 and the bottom 1, and then I'm going to do a grouping on these guys. And so now I have, and I'm going to be careful where I grab it. All right, so now when I do this, I just have to select these guys and do this grouping right here. Okay, so what I did do, all right, so now that I have these all separate, I'm just going to highlight them all. I'm going to do a Control D, which is for duplicate, and drag them off. So what I'm going to do here now is, I've never tried this, but let me just try this right now. If I click H, yeah, it makes them all a whole. And you know what? It does look like I got some of the Barbie pieces in here, and I was trying not to do that. Okay, so there's 2 things you can do for that. Let me grab this one and drag it wide, and I'm going to do the same on this one and drag it wide. So I am going to actually make that a hole, and I'm going to basically group it again, but now I'm going to click on that and click S for solid, and I'm going to select and then group. Okay, so, and if I go back to a hole, you see I don't have any dimple on there. All right, I'm going to do the same thing again, and I'm going to make that a hole and drag it like here, and then click S after selecting, and then select those 2, and if I did a Control G, I could have got that, and then I'm going to click H again, make it a hole. All right, so I have them exactly the way I want them. So now I did some measurements, and I'm going to click F to zoom in, and I know that, let's see, 17.25, and I must be off by a fraction. So I'm just going to drag it up a little more. And height-wise, let's see, all right, 5.9. I know it was still a little tight, and I had 5.4 on my measurement. I'm just going to drag it up this much. Okay, and I'm going to click F here. Now this one, I had 13.5. I'm going to get pretty close to 14 on it for the width. And height, let's see, I have 10.1. This was kind of a unique size connector. So 10.1, I am going to go up to like 10.4. Okay, 10.46, that looks good. And let's see. All right, so if anybody's smart here, they can see the future problem I'm going to have. Can you see it now? Okay, we'll fix that, and I'll show you how. Selecting the object, clicking F. Okay, so this one, I wanted 11.6, so I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger, and height-wise, I have as 9.26, so I'm going to look for like 9.7 area. Okay, and then this last one, I clicked it, left click, and I clicked F. So height, I wanted 8.6, so I'm going to get closer to 9, and width of 16.5, so I'm going to get pretty close to 17, so I have some extra room here. All right, so you see we got some issues here, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to select this guy. I'm going to click F. I'm going to click D because I'm going to really make a bunch of changes on this. And I'm going to zoom out a little further, and I'm going to select all these guys and drag them away so I don't make a mess. Okay, so I am going to grab this box that's actually a hole. I'm going to drag it a little longer. I'm going to drag it shorter. I'm going to push it back a little. I'm going to widen it up. Okay, and now I'm going to shrink the height down. So my plan here is I want to get like the around the corner part, and actually, but I don't want to get any of this stuff, and I'll show you how I'm doing this. So actually I'm going to shrink it down, and you're saying like, hey, what's he doing? He's making a mess. I just did a Control D, which duplicated the box, but it also gives me control of that one box. So I'm bringing it up, I'm bringing it in. So here's what I'm doing. I am basically going to take like a C section of this, and I'm going to click F to drag it in a little, and I'm going to zoom in a little more. All right, so I'm there. So I'm bounded by the tops here. So, okay. Now what I'm going to do, and a little bit on the rotation here, that's a right mouse click to drag like that. I'm selecting them all, and make sure you only select those things. I am going to click group, which cuts it, so now I have that. And so I'm going to make this fatter top and bottom. So I'm going to do a Control D. So now I have this part like this, and let's see, it's the flip. And basically it's kind of like a mirror image, and now I have the bottom corresponding part. And you'll see how these all fit together in a moment. Whoop, not necessarily what I want to do. I'm going to click Control Z because I didn't want to move that. I just want to bring it up. All right, and so now let's place our holes in the object. I'm going to click F on this. Now they're pretty much going to be centered where I need them, and so we'll make some adjustments here. All right, so you see the problem with this. All right, so let me click on the hole here and click the F. Okay, this one is actually going to be the easier one. I am just going to try and center it. So that's about center, and if I just grab the cursor key, I can slide it right or left, and that's real good. All right, and the next thing I am going to do is drag it all the way through. So I'm going to make that cut. So I'm actually knocking out these blocks here. Okay, so this one I'm going to drag down. Oh, didn't want to do that. Control Z, grab the wrong tool part here. I'm just going to bring this down a little bit. I know the majority of the connector, because it's a fatter connector, is up. I'm going to click F so I'm centered on it. And with the cursor keys, I'm going to make the adjustments here. Okay, that looks good. And we're going to fix this. You're saying, hey, he's going to cut through the roof. Absolutely, I will. And I'm going to drag this all the way through and selecting the next one here. All right. So I am going to grab the vertical portion of this. And let's see, did I grab the vertical? All right. It turns red. Okay. That looks good. And I'm going to drag this all the way through. And I clicked on this one. I clicked F to center on it, my view at least. I'm holding the left cursor key down, and I'm looking for when it looks even. I'm using the TLAR method. A friend of mine taught me that, which means that looks about right. All right, did I grab the vertical one? All right, because I should be just moving down, and I'm going to assume this one should be centered all the way around because that's what the plug looked like. Okay, so we got a couple of problems here, and we're going to fix them. All right, so we need, and this needs to go all the way through. So now I'm going to drag this in here. All right, and I got to bring it down vertically. So I'll get my vertical, and I'm going to stretch it and then bring it down again. So that makes that fatter. Okay. And that's looking good. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is, let's see, I want to get the alignment better. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag these out a little bit so I have a better way to grab them. And I'm going to make sure this is like nearly perpendicular. Now I'm going to select and I'm going to drag. All right, I'm going to drag these all out. And because what I want to do is I want to align this, and I'm going to click F just so you can see what I'm talking about. So it actually does look like it's aligned. Oh, okay, it's not aligned lefty-righty because you see how it's kind of got the double bump here. All right, we'll fix that. So I've selected these. I've clicked align. All right, so now I'm going to center, and I'm going to go that way. So you see that it's now aligned that way. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to join them together by clicking group. And now, because they're one object, it's going to be easier for me to manipulate it. So I'm just going to drag it up a little. I'm going to grab this one, and actually, while it's here, you see on the bottom right, it shows me how far above, all right, now negative 0.06, positive 0.07. That might be as close as I get it. All right, so now I'm going to drop this in here. All right, that's not looking good because I still have a gap, and if I want to see, I'm kind of extruding it freehand, and I don't want to go any further than that. So what I do want to do at this point is just bring it down. And I'm going to do the same thing over again. So I select, I'm going to click the align, I'm going to align this way and this way. In the shadowed objects, what they're showing you is, and I don't know, one's the top, one's the bottom, whatever. You can align them according to one of the, there's two objects, so it's going to align to one or the other. And since it's two, I really don't care, because they're both going to be aligned. Okay, so now I have one object that's slightly fatter. I am going, all right, I messed that up. If I do a Control Z, okay, good. So now these are all relative to each other, and I can move them as a group. And I'm going to click F, and I'm going to zoom in. All right, and I think I need to lift them up. And I'm going to move them right. All right, so I know the end ones I'm centering about the current hole. So they also have to go up just some more. And pretty much I'm in freehand mode. All right, so that looks about right there. I'm going to move the group left just a little, and I'm doing that with the left mouse key, or cursor key, sorry, left cursor key. Okay, that looks good. All right, and so I'm going to do the final cut. I'm going to drag out. Now, if you're kind of like, hey, I don't want to make a big mistake, you can select them all. You can do a Control D, and you can drag the whole group over here. Make sure you deselect so you have nothing selected. Select all of those things again, do the cut or the group, and now I have all of these guys merged. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select this, select export. I'm going to save the design. And it gives it, you know, some name, some cool name, because this is really a kid's toy. Mac Cable Organizer. And hopefully I spelled that right. Okay, so Mac Cable Organizer. All right, and I'm going to open up Cura, which is my slicer program. Oh, I'm going to just show you one thing. So if I printed it this way, it would sag. So what I'm going to do is grab the rotation. Oh, I got to click on it. Okay, and I have the rotation tool. I want to rotate it vertical, so that's vertical 90 degrees, and it's at 20% infill. I'm not going to be doing any adhesion or build plate, and I'm just going to save it to a file. So it prepends PL underscore, so okay, and I am going to save that to my untitled drive. All right, and now that that's been saved, I'm going to load it up to Octoprint. So I'm going to click Upload. And I am going to my untitled drive. And Mac Cable. Oh. All right, I did that wrong. I wanted the G-code file. And then I'm just going to click Print. And this is a live view of the 3D printer. And actually, let's see, if I take control of it, is it going to move? Oh, because I click print, I don't have control of it anymore. And that's how you would do the print. This video is sponsored by Andy Meows, and if you would like to sponsor a video, please contribute at patreon.com/flyingrich and see all of my social media at flyingrich.com. Thank you for watching.